This is going to be the 352nd version of why the number 350 is the most important number on the planet right now. You need a little science. Before the Industrial Revolution, the atmospheric concentration of carbon dioxide was 275 parts per million. Consider that background, normal. That's where civilization developed, 275. Once we started CO2, that number started to creep up, and in recent years it started to sprint up. This year we just found out that the number grew by 2.4 parts per million last year. At the moment, it's 385 parts per million, give or take a part, okay? 385. Now, we used to think that we had some margin. When I wrote the first book about global warming 20 years ago, The End of Nature, we were thinking that 450 or 550 parts per million might be the real danger zone. But that was kind of a guess, and we didn't know that much about how the planet's systems were going to react to this extra carbon. It turns out they're reacting a lot quicker and a lot more powerfully than we would have guessed. And the best symbol of that came last summer with the incredibly rapid melt of Arctic ice. That melt of sea ice took scientists who I've known for years who've been concerned and worried and turned them kind of panicked. It was literally off the charts. The Northwest Passage was open for weeks. We were losing an area of ice the size of California every week all last September. This has caused scientists to really start to reevaluate where the danger level is. And our foremost climatologist, James Hansen of NASA, who, as you know, has been the federal government has attempted to silence on more than one occasion, published a paper earlier this year finally giving us a real target, a real solid hard number for the first time. What he said was that any value, any number above 350 parts per million CO2 was in the red zone, in the danger zone, in a place where we shouldn't be. And that's where we are. We're not talking about a problem for the future, something that's coming at us. We're talking about the biggest problem that we face in the world right now. How do we get out of that danger zone before the planet has that stroke or that heart attack, before sea level rise becomes an unbearable problem, before we see even greater levels of drought and flood and whatever? The answer to that, we think, is this, one of the answers, is this new organization that we've formed, 350.org. We're going to spend the next 18 months telling people around the world that this is the most important number that there is. Why 18 months? Because that's when the international community will wrap up the successor agreement to the Kyoto Accords in Copenhagen, Denmark in December of 2009. And if that isn't a good, strong, powerful agreement that really turns the corner, that really sets the world going on a new low-carbon path, then we're not going to get another real bite at the apple. We're going to kick the problem ahead 10 years, and by the time we get around to solving it, it will no longer be soluble. We'll have passed those irreversible points, and all we're going to be dealing with is how we somehow cope with the aftermath of that kind of rapid, hideous climate change. This project, 350.org, is just the kind of thing that we need to, this was what the web was built for. Not for sharing dirty pictures, not for playing poker online, for taking something like this number and sticking it in every human head, in every human heart, for making people, if they know nothing else about climate, understand that this represents, this number, some kind of safety. And if we're able to get that number out, then it'll have an almost magnetic effect on those negotiations. It won't make them perfect, but it'll nudge them, perhaps really push them in the direction of a more serious and science-based approach. Now, to get that number out there, we need every creative idea that anyone can come up with. Already in the first couple of weeks before we've even officially launched, we've had 350 people on a beach in Maui, surfers forming a number with their boards. We've had 350 people bicycling around the State House in Salt Lake City. We've had churches ringing their bells 350 times. We've had quilters in Appalachia making 350 square quilts. we're really trying to reach out to the whole world. Our website will be in 12 languages. It's continuously translated. And we're already hearing from the top editorial cartoonist in Mongolia, who knew, from Rwanda, from the Congo, from Sweden, from Japan. We've got people going to work in China. We've got people in every direction. If everybody figures out how they can become creatively involved, how they can spread this word, how they can spread this number, then we have a chance. No guarantees. The momentum of the physics and chemistry is extremely strong. But at this time, on this earth, at this moment, this is the task ahead of us. 350.org. Thank you very much.
So I raised my glass